Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today I rise in support of literature, which have had a huge positive impact in my life as someone who became an avid reader in third grade through a program in my public school called Accelerated Reader. As you can imagine, I was very competitive back then, just like I am today. And I read book after book after book after book. And of course, for me, I was reading books in the sake of doing good on quizzes to get points, so I could get to the pizza party at the end of the school year. But in hindsight, when I look back at those years, I also remember how these books were incredible outlets for me during a very challenging part of my childhood. During that time, my mom was diagnosed with colon cancer. And so from doctor's office, hospital to hospital, we were with her through all these ups and downs. And often I would have a book with me, either from my school or from my public library, that I could escape to, that I could imagine adventures, but also have exposure to other tough situations like the one that I was going through at the time. And one book in particular stood out to me when I was in 8th grade. It was in the bargain bin at the book fair, if y'all remember Scholastic book fairs. I actually could never afford books at the book fair, so when I would go when I was younger, I would leave with an eraser head or just something so I didn't feel left out. But this was my first ever book fair where there was a dollar bin, and as I rummaged in this dollar bin, I found a book called Girl Hearts. And the protagonist in this book, her mom actually passes away. And of course, it was hard to read that text as an 8th grader, but for me, it was also foreshadowing the sense that it prepared me for what would soon be a tragic loss in my life when my mom passed away in 2004 when I was 13. And that book, though hard as it was to read, also prepared me to manage these tough situations. I want to make sure that books like Girl Hearts and others are available for all of our kiddos. And for me, this bill is not about protecting children. It's about exerting additional control over what our kids are allowed to read and are allowed to learn. Florida already has a reading crisis when it comes to statistics of where our kids are at grade level with reading. Meanwhile, we know how important it is to want to read and to learn how to read as it impacts lifelong earning, civic participation, health outcomes. There are people who build prisons based on literacy rates of a community. So we should be spending our time opening up access to literature, not pursuing policy that broadens the definition, empowering zealots to come into our schools and restrict access to diverse literature. If we want Florida to be competitive, if we want economic growth, if we want our kids to succeed, they need to love reading, which is why I encourage everyone to vote no on the expansion of book bans by voting no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.